Hi everybody, welcome one and all to episode 116 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, October 1st, 2019. My name is Carol. I am known as Knitsnpurls on Ravelry, and I'm coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia. A special hello to any new viewers who might be checking out the podcast for the first time. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you like what you see and that you'll be back. And of course, hello to all of you returning viewers. Thanks so much for coming back to spend some time with me today. You know, we started out with sunshine this morning, but the clouds have since taken over. Apparently, we're supposed to get one more nice day, and then the rains are going to descend on us once again. So unfortunately, it looks like the weather for Knit City this weekend is going to be the same as last year, which is wet, wet, wet. Fall has well and truly settled in here. My husband and I were talking about it as he was leaving for work this morning. We often get a really nice, warm, sunny September and even October. And this year, September has not been like that at all. And I think it might be on Friday, because we had rain, I think it was on Friday, and our local mountains received their first snowfall of the season, and you can definitely feel the chill here on the valley floor. It's pretty though, it looks nice. I'll put a picture or two in here. The other night the sun was going down and made the mountains all pinky. It was really pretty. It kept changing within minutes. Every time you looked out the window it was a little bit different scene. Good weather to stay inside and knit by though. I know in the east there's been quite some hot weather actually. My husband's heading down to Nashville this coming weekend, and I think when he was looking earlier this week, I think it was in the 30s Celsius, and then I think it's supposed to be mid-20s by the time he gets down there, so he'll enjoy a little bit of warmth and sunshine there while we're stuck here in the rain. Before I get into the knitting, I have 3 finished projects this week. I'll just remind you that the knit along for the Elsa socks is going on right now in the Ravelry group until November 30th. That Elsa is a pattern that I recently released, and I forgot to grab the fabric. I have not sewn them yet, but I am offering up 2 sock size project bags as prizes for that knit along. So you can chat as much as you like in the chatter thread, and then I will also draw from the finished projects thread. I post there as you finish your pair. So I think that covers that. So yeah, let's get into show and tell. So this week I just was really trying to wind up some projects that have been on the go for a little while. I talked about these socks last week and told you that I was going to run out of yarn, and so I did. Had ordered more, I think, by the time I talked to you last week, and it came, might even have come the next day. These are knit from Peyton's Croy socks, and it's the tourmaline stripes colorway. So I'd originally planned to knit these either for my brother-in-law or my son-in-law, but because I ended up having to patch them, put yarn in at the end, I decided to just give them to Cameron, so he gets a new pair of socks out of it. If I'd known that I was going to have to order another ball of yarn, I would have made the cuffs just a little bit longer. I prefer to make them somewhere around 7 inches, but I was ironically doing them a little shorter so I would have enough yarn to finish, and I still ran short, in part because one of the skeins had a knot in entirely the wrong place in the striping sequence, which ticked me off to no end. Anyway, so let's give you a little bit closer look. You can see it's just a basic self-striping yarn in various shades of gray. This is done on, I ended up doing 68 stitches on a 2.25 millimeter needle, which made fairly dense sock. I'm thinking next time I knit this yarn, I might even go up to a 2.5 and then maybe cast on 64 stitches. I did a traditional heel flap and gusset and a rounded toe. So because they're a little bit thicker yarn, thicker needles, they didn't take too long to work up. So nothing too exciting, but there is another pair of socks for Cam's sock drawer. The FO I'm really excited about this week is my In the Dunes wrap by Helen Stewart. I told you last week that I was really close to finishing. I had determined that it was reaching the right length, so I opted to leave off the 2 final pattern repeats, and I'm glad I did. It is the perfect size. So the yarn I used was from Indigo Moon. It's their 100% Blue-Faced Leicester fingering, and it was in the, I always forget, Midnight Song colorway. It is a tonal navy yarn, and it's actually really interesting. When you're knitting it, and in most lights it looks very flat, like there's not much variation, but when it's all laid out in the right light, you actually see it is quite a tonal yarn. So it features, it's a sort of it's not a rectangle. I think I ended up figuring out that word a couple of weeks ago. It's like a parallelogram or a rhomboid. I think that was it. A rhombus. Anyway, it has 2 long straight edges, and then it has 2 edges that are diagonal. And it alternates between this chevron-y, zigzaggy lace and this sort of striped eyelet section. So hopefully, I realized I was wearing a dark top, but hopefully against the background of the shelving unit here, you should be able to see that lace patterning quite well. At least it's showing up well on my camera screen there. So yeah, this is just like the perfect size to just drape around your shoulders and have hang down. And I could also, if I wanted, kind of wrap it. That would certainly work too. It's got definitely enough length to do that if I wanted. I am more likely to wear it just like this. I'm not too fancy. So yeah, I'm really happy to get that finished before we leave for holidays in a couple of weeks, because I have several dresses that I want to wear it with in the evenings for dinner. So very pleased with how that came out. I don't know if it helps at all to stand up and show you. Probably you don't get that much better an idea. There you go. So yeah, super pleased with this finished project. Another one I'm really happy with is my Storm Shawl by Joji Locatelli. I knit this one out of some Fleece Artist yarn. It was the Merino Slim that they dyed up for Canada's 150th anniversary of Confederation, and I used the Banff Alberta colorway. And here it is. It's a crescent-shaped shawl. It features some short row shaping and also some elongated dropped stitch sections. You can see that there, and also some eyelet holes, eyelet lace sections. It's 1 skein, so it's not a large shawl, which is actually, for the most part, the size of shawl that I prefer. And you can see there it has a little picot edge. So I knit it exactly as written. I had plenty of yarn to finish. I probably, if I had wanted to, I probably could have added an extra row or 2 of garter stitch, but I didn't bother. I just knit it as written. So it'll be a great shawl to wear, like this, with a nice black top maybe, or I used to have a turquoise one. I can't remember if I still do. But yeah, really definitely great size, great shape. I love this style of shawl, or shawlette. It's probably a better way of putting it. So yeah, that's that. I actually think I'm going to leave it on. It's just a little bit cooler now with the sun gone, and I'm in short sleeves. So yes, as you can see, I went kind of on a finishing tear this week and knocked out 3 projects. That feels really good. So I also cast on a new pattern, or a new project this week. I think with the fall weather, it's starting to feel like sweater weather, and I couldn't resist casting on a new sweater. So it's Granito by Joji Locatelli, so another Joji Locatelli. Let's try that again. Another Joji Locatelli pattern. I'm not sure that you're going to get a really good look at the pattern in here. I printed it in black and white, plus the sweater in the original is gray anyway, so I'll pop in, see if I can get a photo off of Ravelry or something and pop that in here. Might give you a better idea. It's a very basic drop shoulder, round neck sweater, kind of a little bit loose in the body, and has pockets down near the hemline. I am a little bit hesitant because, as a rule, I like shaping in my sweaters, and so it's a little bit of a risk for me doing a straight, a little bit wider sweater, but it looks so cute on so many people. And I saw it, I'm pretty sure it's a sweater I saw when I was in Victoria. I think it was a couple of years ago, in the window of Beehive. We were just driving away, and I happened to glance at the window, and there was this sweater in the window that really caught my eye. And I went on, I think it was Ravelry later when I got home, and I'm pretty sure it was Granito. So it's kind of been in the back of my mind for a while. And worst case scenario is I knit it and don't like how it looks, I rip it out, knit something else with the yarn. If you've been watching for any length of time, you know I'm not adverse to doing that. So far though, it's coming along really well, and I'm happy with it. I actually tried it on for the first time yesterday, and it is a baggy sweater. Let's see. I think you're supposed to do something like, 6 to 8 inches of ease. Now that is a bit too much ease for my liking. So I am knitting the 39.5-inch size, and I think my bust right now measures something like 35 or 36 inches. So that's more to my liking. I figured that way it's not quite so big and bulky. I have this bag here that has all these little Ziploc bags numbered with the different skeins in them in order to keep them straight as I alternate skeins. The yarn is Malabrigo Arroyo, and it is in the Jupiter colorway 049. And it's a sport weight yarn. I had used the same yarn before for Carol Feller's Dusty Road, and I really liked how it worked out. And when I measured the gauge on that sweater, it turned out to be bang on the gauge that was required for this pattern. So I knew exactly which needles to reach for. I didn't have to swatch or anything. So that was a treat. But each of the skeins, especially 2 are more similar, and then there are 2 that are less similar and quite different from each other. So I did the first part of the body alternating 2 skeins, and I've added in a third, and I'm doing 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows, and I'm hoping that that will have a pleasing effect. And then for the sleeves, I'll blend the remaining of that third skein with the fourth skein and hopefully have a good outcome. So here's how it's coming along so far. I think possibly in the screen, well, definitely in the screen, it's coming out a little bit brighter than it is in real life. It's a combination of what I would call burgundy There is some definite sort of a deep hot pink or fuchsia in there, has some shades of brown, even a little bit of a corally color. So it's quite a variegated yarn. Do not think it's going to really come out really well on camera. It's less red, more pinky red than it's showing up on my screen. Hopefully in the when it's up on your screen, it looks more true to life. It's interesting how you start, because you do the back, you start at the back and you do some short row shaping, and then you pick up along the shoulders. You do some short row shaping on each side of the front, and then you join it together and knit down for a while till you have your armhole length, and then you join it all in the round, and that's the stage I'm at now. So I'm just zipping, and then it features this slipped stitch column on the back. That's the front and the back, and they're in different places because the pocket that's at the bottom starts like here and wraps around to the line on the back. So this pockets sit more forward than they do back. So yeah, it's coming along. I love that it's just not entirely mindless, but pretty well. And you can see I've done a fair bit on it. I kind of like this feature too. You pick up the stitches along the shoulder in such a way that you actually have a little visible seam on the top. I just think that's kind of fun. There you go. And it's also neat, you can see with the variegated yarn, you can see that short row shaping. Kind of looks cool too. Just the way the colors play there. Hopefully that shows up. So yeah, definitely enjoying this project. You know, I have to take a look. I have a sweater I started, I think it was last spring, which is the Light Ease by, I want to say Amanda Plummer. I'm not positive about that name. Alicia Plummer? Alicia Plummer? In any case, I'm on the first sleeve. The whole body's done. And, you know, I tried it on not that long ago, and it feels big. It's a raglan, and the raglans sit out quite far out here, and the body just feels big and baggy, even though I've incorporated some shaping. I have a feeling that one is going to get frogged and either re-knit. I might even just take it back to partway through the yoke and then make it a little bit smaller, or maybe turn it into something else. I haven't decided yet. It's kind of breaking my heart, and that's why it's still sitting over there in its bag. But I've lost some weight since I began it, and that's part of the reason I know, because I know I tried it on, you know, way back when, and I was happy with it, and now it just feels too big and baggy. So we'll see. I also, just thinking about this, I went ahead and I picked up and knit the ribbing for the neck on this already, just to kind of get that out of the way, and then when I try it on, the neckline will sit at the right place. So I just, yeah, thought I would knock that job out so that when I get to the bottom, the whole body will be complete, and then I just have to add the sleeves. So yeah, that's where I am with that. As for dabbling in design, this week I have been working on the second large sample sock for my next pattern release. I've about a pattern repeat and a half to go until it's time to do the toe. So that's been moving along nicely. And that same size is being test knit as we speak. Thanks, Susan. Susan's also on the second sock. So that phase of the whole process is just about wrapped up. I had hoped that I would be able to release that pattern before we left for holidays on the 17th, but that's looking less and less likely because I'm kind of having trouble nailing down a time when I can take pictures of Cameron's socks on his feet. He is going to be away this coming weekend, and then he's not at home during the week during daylight hours. So the first opportunity I'm going to have is the next weekend after that, which actually we're going to be up at the cabin, and I'm hopeful that there'll be some fallen leaves and dried grass, etc., that I can use as sort of background. I think actually it'll be a really good place to take the pictures, but that means that once we get home, it's a long weekend, so we don't get home till later on Monday, and then we leave on the Thursday. So that doesn't give me a lot of time to get the pictures inserted in the pattern and do all the final touches, plus pack to go away. So chances are it'll be early November by the time you see that. Unfortunately, I also am hesitant to go away, and then in case there's, if I only put it out, say the Tuesday or Wednesday, probably more like Wednesday, then if there are problems, I won't necessarily be in a position to deal with them while I'm gone. So better be safe than sorry. So unfortunately, I'll have to wait a little longer for that, but I want to do it and do it right. So I have some acquisitions. So as I had told you, I had sent away for more yarn to finish this pair of socks. And of course, you can't just buy one skein of yarn. What would be the point in that? A few weeks ago, when I was in Kamloops, I told you that I had seen some yarn and they only had 4 skeins, and so I didn't buy it, but I saw it was also at Yarn Canada, which is where I got the sock yarn, and I decided to bite the bullet. So I picked up 5 skeins of this beautiful, beautiful teal blue Cascade 220 Super Wash, and it's called their Wave yarn. And what it is basically two colors, 2 strands that are like barber poled. I know spinners always talk about barber pole yarn, so it's, I don't know if you can tell there or not, it has the two ply, well, I think it's a 4-ply yarn, but it's 2 plies each that are spun with each other. So the yarn has that kind of heathered look and knits up, you know, sort of randomly in stripes that are varying colors. That is not a very good, I know it was on the label, but that doesn't really convey what it does. I'm really excited about knitting with this. I think the color is just so gorgeous, and it'll be fun. See here, you can see like there's purple and green that's kind of side by side, and then there's like this teal and kind of a grayish blue there. Yeah, I just think it's going to be really fun. Haven't chosen a pattern yet. It's worsted weight, so it'll be a fairly simple pullover, I think, because I think that was probably let the yarn do the talking. But that's going to come up as soon as I figure out which pattern to cast it on. Yeah, look, just look how pretty. Like, that's so bright, and then like that part's dark. That's got the lightness. They're just all so different, right? And yet the same. So yeah, that'll be fun. I like to keep just basic self-striping sock yarn on hand. I'm always knitting socks for me and for gifts, and they had some opal ones that I just couldn't resist picking up. So this is their Sunrise collection, and this is color 9447, and it's in German, which I don't speak, but it was listed as birds chirping. And if you know me, you know I love my birds, and so just for the title alone or the name alone, I had to get it. And plus, those are nice, pretty colors. Then this one also caught my eye. They have a collection called Handwork and Hobby. And this one is seamstress. And since sewing is another one of my loves, I felt like I needed to get that too. Can you tell these are going to be for me? And then they have this Claude Monet collection. And unfortunately, the water lilies and there was another one I was looking at were both out of stock, but I picked up this one, which is Japanese, yeah, there's the picture, Japanese bridge in the garden of, I don't know if it's Giverny or Giverny. I meant to look that up before I, Giverny? Don't know, Giverny. So I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but very iconic, of course, picture of his. So these will be really fun to knit up too. I love the opal yarns. They are always, you know, they never disappoint. So I don't know when I'll get to any of those. What I really need to do next is cast on a pair of men's sort of self-striping socks for gifts. So because I got sidelined by these ones, I still need to get cracking on another pair. Reading, I have been continuing, I remember to bring the book in this time, The Underdog and Other Stories by Agatha Christie. And this one I've read numerous times before. The stories are very familiar to me, and in a couple of cases I've remembered who the murderer was. So it's not exactly suspenseful this time around, but comforting. So enjoying that. As I mentioned last week, I had won tickets to the Canucks preseason game last Wednesday. So Cameron and I went in early and had dinner first and then took in the game. So it started out really strong. Canucks scored 2 goals in the first period, and then it was kind of downhill from there. And Ottawa came back and scored, I think, 5 unanswered goals. So started off strong, didn't end so well. But we had fun anyway, and our seats are really good. They're only 2 rows off the ice near one of the blue lines, and so you see everything up close and personal, you know, players banging into the glass or skating by, and so it was just fun to see everything that close up. And going to a sporting event is always way more fun than watching it on TV. So enjoyed our evening out, although it was pretty late by the time we got home. Then on Thursday, we did win our game at curling, so that was very exciting. Our wins are few and far between, so we take them where we can get them. It was a good game, and we had a really nice dinner with the other team afterwards. So it's a dinner league, so we all stay for supper after. And then Saturday, we had our kids and grandkids over for early Thanksgiving dinner. Cameron and I are going to be up at the cabin for Thanksgiving weekend, so we wanted to get together with our kids before that. So yeah, we had a really nice evening together. And then Sunday, we had done all our outside running around errands on Saturday. And so Sunday we did some yard work at home, trying to kind of clean things up for the fall and winter. So I trimmed a bunch of shrubs and pulled out, you know, dead flowers and things like that. And then I continued that on Monday also, while the weather was still good. That's the key, is getting it in before the rain comes. Last night we kicked off Ladies' Night for the year. If you've been watching for a while, you know that I get together with a group of friends once a month for appies and dessert. We've been doing this since, I don't know, 2003 or 2004. Some of us used to work together. And yeah, it was. It's always fun to get together the first month after the summer, because you know there's lots of news to catch up on. Sadly, one of our members was diagnosed with cancer several months ago, has undergone chemo and radiation treatments, and is going to be having surgery just over a week from now. So she's not going to be joining us for at least a few months. And of course, we're all wishing her the best, and hopefully she'll be able to join us again. This coming weekend, Cameron's going to be away. I think I mentioned that. He's going to Nashville, which is quite a bit warmer than here. And then Jessica and I are heading into Knit City. We're going to do that on Saturday. So if any of you are going, let me know, and I'd love to say hi. If you see me, don't hesitate to say hello. I still haven't figured out, I haven't really looked closely at the vendor list and don't really know what I'm looking for. So I kind of have to do that before I go. I would like to have at least some idea of what I might buy so that I don't go too crazy when I get there. I think that is everything for this week. I'm kind of glancing around, see if I forgot anything. I don't think so. I hope you have a good week, whether it be hot or cool, wet or dry. Enjoy your knitting, and thanks so much for coming and watching. Take care.